is Michael Popok, Legal AF. Has Donald Trump and J.D. Vance crossed the line and have committed a hate crime, a federal hate crime, because of the violent rhetoric they're now targeting at legal Haitian immigrants and workers who have come to Springfield, Ohio to fill the jobs left behind after COVID, and so they didn't have to shutter their factories and plants. That's what the 15,000 Haitians are doing there, J.D. Vance. But your violent rhetoric, now people in the MAGA world, including the Proud Boys, that alt-right white supremacist violent group, who the Department of Justice tried to decapitate the leadership of and put them away for a long time in the Jan 6 prosecutions, but they still live. And now they're targeting. And if any blood is spilt in Springfield, Ohio, that blood ends up on J.D. Vance and Donald Trump's hands. And that's where has there been a hate crime that the Department of Justice should investigate? Look, in the waning days of the Biden administration, there's work to be done. And there's work to be done by the Department of Justice led by Merrick Garland. And he can't bury his head in the sand and say, I'm not going to protect the downtrodden, as Donald Trump and J.D. Vance continue to punch down at people who are defenseless, whose only crime is to try to come to this country for a better life at an invitation, mind you, of the business community and manufacturing community of Springfield, Ohio. Let me tell you what law I'm talking about here at the intersection of law and politics. 18 U.S.C. United States Code Section 249 Hate Crimes Acts says the following: whoever, whether or not acting under color of law, so whoever, a person, willfully causes bodily injury to any person, any other person, or through the use of fire, a firearm, a dangerous weapon, or an explosive or incendiary device, attempts to cause bodily injury to any person because of the actual or perceived race, color, religion, or national origin of that person, shall be imprisoned not more than 10 years. Fined in accordance with this title, and shall be imprisoned for any term of life, any term of year for life, if death results. For J.D. Vance to recently say in response to a CNN interview with Dana Bash that he is personally offended and he's not responsible for the bomb threats that have now been phoned in to Springfield, Ohio, and the Haitian community, let's run that clip.
And it was of the Proud Boys marching through Springfield yesterday. We know hate groups have been amplifying the concerns about Haitians for weeks. What constituency are you trying to appeal to here by putting this at the center of the conversation?
Margaret, first of all, whatever a local mayor said about this case, I am hearing from dozens of constituents who are concerned about these issues. They are allowed to be concerned about these issues. And I think it's shameful how the American media ignores them. Now, you mentioned a Proud Boys march. I imagine that's the clip that I saw yesterday of about a dozen people marching down the street. Of course, I don't align myself with the views of the Proud Boys, Margaret, but we have to remember that this is a real problem. The media is using things like a dozen marchers to ignore and distract from the fact that thanks to Kamala Harris's open borders, there are children who aren't getting a good education. Thanks to her open border, there is a rise in HIV cases in Springfield, Ohio. Thanks to her open border, murders are up 81% in Springfield, Ohio. I am much more concerned about the Vice President of the United States failing to do her job than I am that a dozen people carried the wrong flag when they were marching in Springfield, Ohio yesterday. Let's focus on the real problem. That's the Vice President of the United States not doing her job.
What you've missed, J.D. Vance, even though you got J.D. in your title and apparently you went to law school, is that your language has moved off of First Amendment protected speech, because you can have disgusting thoughts and ideas. But if your comments and your attacks cause another person to kill or maim or injure a third person, you're liable for a crime. And the reason for that is because they're black or brown, or their national origin, or their religion, like in the case of the Haitian example. You're responsible for a hate crime. And I'm imploring the Department of Justice to open up an investigation and its Civil Rights Division to see if the civil rights of these legal immigrants who just came to this country because we allowed them, invited them to. And then when we got them, what? We're making them a human prop to be used in a performative art piece by Donald Trump and JD Vance to try to get elected as they meme their way to the White House? Because this is the substitute and the replacement for a coherent debate about ideas, about values, about policies. This is the replacement, punched down to the downtrodden. That's what this country is based on, or is it a crime? And that's what I'm positing here on this particular hot take. Here's how it would work. The rhetoric, the violent rhetoric that's already led to bomb threats, Proud Boys and other MAGA attacking and going after Haitians. The next step in that is that somebody takes up the clarion call of Donald Trump and JD Vance and actually does violence on the streets of Springfield, Ohio, and in other places against Haitians. Haitians already have their own tremendous problem. They have a country that has virtually no economy, that there's no personal security. And the only reason that the established Haitian community based in Miami helped bring this their cousins and brothers and sisters and friends out of Haiti is because they heard that Springfield, Ohio is desperate for workers in food manufacturing and in other type of light industry. And they connected the need for workers with a need of human beings to have dignity and got them to Springfield, a waiting, willing, embracing Springfield. Sure, when you drop 15,000 people in a 4-year period who are not from this country into one town, are we gonna have some growing and transition pains? Sure. But then for JD Vance and Donald Trump to use video clips and allow his heads of his social media, the alt-right, right-wingers like Laura Loomer and Prosobiec and liberals of TikTok, libs of TikTok, and DC Drano to use racist memes against them, to claim that cats and dogs and geese and ducks, oh my, are being eaten by them. It's pathetic. It's an insult to the intelligence of the American people and to the Haitian community, a hardworking, God-fearing, patriotic community. I know the Haitian community well. I practiced law in Miami for 20 years. They're the pillars of the Miami society, legal and business. I've gone every year to the Haitian Bar Association Gala. I count them as my friends. And now look what's happening. Their relatives and friends are the terrible punchline in a racist, hateful screed by JD Vance and Donald Trump. This podcast is sponsored by Delete Me. Have you or someone you know been a victim of identity theft, harassed, stalked, doxxed? I recently changed banks and opened new accounts, only to quickly have bad people use that opportunity to try to hack into my online banking profile. And with all my hot takes and podcast episodes every week, my privacy and that of my family's remains a priority. Ever wonder how much of your personal data is out there on the internet for anyone to see? More than you think. Your name, contact info, social security number, and home address, even information about your family members, all being compiled by data brokers and sold online. Data brokers make a profit off of your data. Your data is a commodity. Anyone on the web can buy your private details. This can lead to identity theft and phishing. As a person who exists publicly, especially as someone who shares my legal and political opinions online, I am hyper aware of safety and security. And it's easier than ever to find personal information about people online. All this data hanging out on the internet can have actual consequences in the real world. Over the last decade, the U.S. has witnessed steady growth in politically motivated, threatening online behavior, peaking around election cycles. Delete Me and its research shows that the volume of personal data on individuals available online has tripled between 2019 and 2023 to an average of over 525 pieces of personal info per person available free or for as little as $5 per profile. You cannot always control whether you are a target, but you can make it harder for politically motivated threat actors to escalate threats by taking a proactive approach to the security of your personal information. That's why I personally recommend Delete Me. Delete Me is a subscription service that removes your personal info from hundreds of data brokers. Sign up and provide Delete Me with exactly what information you want deleted, and their experts take it from there. Delete Me sends you regular personalized privacy reports showing what info they found, where they found it, and what they removed. Delete Me isn't just a one-time service. Delete Me is always working for you, constantly monitoring and removing the personal information you don't want on the internet. To put it simply, Delete Me does all the hard work of wiping your and your family's personal information from data broker websites. Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now at a special discount for our listeners. Today, get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/legalaf and use promo code LegalAF at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/legalaf and enter code LegalAF at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/legalaf, code LegalAF. Again, the Department of Justice should look at 18 U.S.C. 249, determine if it applies, and open up an investigation before it's too late. I mean, if, God forbid, blood is spilled on the streets and attacks happen of black and brown people who people presume to be Haitian, or in the Springfield community, and somebody is killed or maimed or injured, you have to lay that at the feet of Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, right? And people that are unhinged within the party will listen to them and follow their lead. Look what the Proud Boy, how they interpret it, and their bomb threats. Donald Trump thinks he can raise the temperature of the discourse in this country and violent rhetoric in this country, and comments about violence and the use of violence to an end, to a means, to a revolution. And then when it comes back to bite him, wonder why people, how they ever got that idea. These are the crimes that need to be investigated. And let me make it clear on this hot take. I am not looking to gag people and their First Amendment protected speech. You have disgusting, racist thought processes. You want to put that on a mimeograph, on a copy machine, bring it to your town square. You want to say it on your social media. Go ahead. But there is a line to be drawn when hate speech becomes hate crime, and where you encourage and foment so much discontent, and you light the fuse for which you are responsible for the explosion that results. Just as Donald Trump is not blameless, but lit the fuse and pointed the gun and the ammunition at the Capitol with an angry mob of 3,000 people that got angrier because of Donald Trump. And then 5-6 people died at the Capitol because of Donald Trump's rhetoric. Same thing here, but now we're talking about an unprotected, underprivileged, defenseless group of people who are here once again. Put this down so when you're having the debate, everybody gets it straight. They are not illegal immigrants. There is no border between Ohio and Haiti. I mean, I haven't taken a lot of geography classes, but I can tell you there's no surge at the border to get into Ohio. They got there legally through a program of temporary protected status, which is an asylum-like program to protect people in places where they're going to meet a violent end if they stay in their home country. So they get to stay here for an 18-month period, which is renewable, while they go for permanent status in America. In the meantime, rather than sitting in some internment camp or sitting around earning welfare, these people are working in the factories of Springfield, Ohio, meaning they're working for you and me, the American citizen. I would suggest they're more patriotic than many other people because they're rolling up their shirt sleeves. And why are they working so hard? And why are there so many of them? One, that's where the jobs are. And two, They're spending very little money on themselves because they're sending most of it home. A home where $100 a month or a week can change lives in Haiti, just as it does in Mexico, in Venezuela. Think of all the hardworking people from around the world who are working here, killing themselves, working themselves tirelessly to the bone in order to send money back home. And what does Donald Trump want to have? He wants them to be a human prop and a punchline as he tries to get back to the White House, regardless of how that language is being used, which could lead to the crime. So here's where I'm going to leave it on the hot take. Department of Justice, both the criminal side and the civil side, the criminal division and the civil division, make sure the Haitian community, the hardworking Haitian community of Springfield, Ohio, is being protected. And make sure that everybody around them know that people will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and be embroiled in civil rights lawsuits if they step out of line and cross over from First Amendment speech into violent attacks and rhetoric, and worse, against that community, including indictments for hate crimes. And that starts at the top, because the tone on the top of that campaign is Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. And J.D. Vance with his aw shucks Boy Scout looks, where he says to Dana Bash, I think I'm on an American propagandist network, not a journalist. Just because bomb threats happened right after the debate question, 26 minutes into the debate, when Donald Trump said, geez, all the pets and dogs and people, white people in Ohio, go hide your pets and dogs, your cats and dogs, because the angry horde of illegal Haitian immigrants are going to eat them. Right? Without recognizing that they're not illegal at all, that they were invited by that community in a state that J.D. Vance, I know he was only a a senator for about a nanosecond, about 8 months before he ran. Time for a promotion. I love J.D. Vance. This is a kid who was Silicon Valley venture capitalist, creates a phony charity that doesn't help anybody back in his home state, sees an opening with MAGA support to run for Senate. Just go straight to Senate. Never a congressperson, never held any leadership positions that meant anything, nothing in public service, just Senate, and then sees another opening. Hey, one heartbeat away from the presidency. That's me. I'm ready for my promotion, sir. 38-year-old J.D. Vance, who wrote a book once as his major credential, and the only thing he needed to do as a senator from Ohio is to protect and spread his long protective wings to protect that immigrant class that has been brought here by Ohio to do work, but he doesn't. And instead he uses his wife as a human shield and as a human prop and says, I'm married to a brown person. I can't be racist. The old, I got a black friend. Okay. I know what curry smells like. He actually said that on CNN. Laura Loomer's not racist. She's just commenting that the White House might have a certain curry on the menu if Kamala Harris is elected. Why don't you just call her Curry Harris? They've called her everything else. Why don't you just call her the N-word? They've called her everything else. They've used every other subtle, not so subtle racist trope against her. Multiple racist tropes against her. Hate crime. Hate crime. Be warned, not our audience. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance will continue to follow things at the intersection, the crossroads of law and politics. One place, on MeidasTouch and on Legal AF. Find out what 40 million people a month already know. That Legal AF is the home of legal commentary, law and politics commentary analysis like no other. No other on YouTube. I defy you to find someplace that does it the way we do it here on the MeidasTouch Network. Wednesdays, I do it with Karen Friedman Ignifilo. Saturdays with Ben Meiselas. We curate the top 4 or 5 stories at the intersection of law and politics. We bring it to you in a curated full-length podcast, about an hour long. Then we do hot takes like this about every day, sometimes every hour on the MeidasTouch Network. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting. Heary, heary, Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know and we discuss every day on Legal AF. exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.